Hi, my name is Solvi Turner, and this is my presentation, Hurdles and Challenges to Tech Leadership. Before I begin, I want to start with a quick real-life example. When my son was younger, he saw videos online of people jumping into outfits and automatically becoming dressed. So he laid his clothes on the floor and jumped on them, hoping the same thing would happen. It was funny and harmless, but it sticks with me because it showed how quickly children can believe what they see online. Today, with AI-generated images, videos, audio, and information, that issue is much bigger. Students are growing up in a world where they see online can be real, edited, staged, manipulated, or completely created by AI. That is why critical media literacy and responsible AI use are important topics to discuss. In this presentation, I will explain the national technology hurdle of critical media literacy, connect it to my school context, and describe how school leaders can respond. CoSN's 2026 Driving K-12 Innovation Report helps show that technology leadership is no longer just about devices, software, or keeping systems running. The report organizes the national landscape around hurdles, accelerators, and tech enablers. The hurdles are the barriers schools need to overcome. In 2026, those include staffing, cybersecurity and safety, and critical media literacy. The accelerators are the trends that can move innovation forward, such as building the human capacity of leaders, changing how students demonstrate learning, and learner agency. The tech enablers are the tools that can support this work, including generative AI, data and information visualization, and tools for privacy and safety online. What stood out to me is that these topics are connected. AI creates new opportunities, but it also creates new risks. Cybersecurity and privacy are not separate from instruction anymore. Critical media literacy is not just a library or technology skill. It connects to how students learn, how teachers design assignments, how schools protect trust, and how leaders create expectations. The report helps us understand that technology leadership is becoming more complex because leaders have to balance innovation with safety, ethics, equity, privacy, communication, and professional learning. Critical media literacy stood out to me because students are growing up in a world where information is easier to create, but harder to verify. AI can generate text, images, videos, and audio that look believable, even when they are inaccurate, biased, or completely false. CoSN identifies this as a new 2026 hurdle because students now have to navigate AI-generated content, misinformation, and blurred lines between fact and fabrication. This means students need more than basic digital skills. They need to know how to ask good questions about what they see, who created it, why it was created, whether it can be trusted, and what might be missing. This is no longer just a digital citizenship issue. It is a basic skill students need for school, work, and citizenship. If students cannot evaluate information, then technology can actually make learning more confusing instead of more meaningful. In my school, we are building more STEM and technology capacity. We have technology instruction, computer science opportunities, STEM planning, and some AI-related professional learning already happening. We are also beginning to work on policies around creating misinformation and spreading it online, implementing common language for AI expectations, working with LSU computer science and engineering departments to create curriculum, and identifying teacher needs for instruction. This reflects the national issue CoSN describes, but in my school, the concern is making sure this learning reaches all teachers and students consistently, not just a small group of people already comfortable with technology. The issue is not whether students and teachers can use technology. The issue is whether they have the shared guidance and skills needed to question, verify, and responsibly use digital information and AI. Our school is in a good position to move this work forward because we are already building capacity, but the next step is making it more systematic and school-wide. Critical media literacy and responsible AI use are complex because they touch several areas at once. Instructionally, students need to learn how to check sources, recognize bias, compare information, and evaluate whether something is accurate. Teachers also need to think about how assignments may need to change when students have access to AI tools. Ethically, students need to understand when AI supports learning and when it replaces their own thinking. They also need to understand that creating or spreading misinformation online can have real consequences. From a policy standpoint, teachers need shared expectations for AI use, academic integrity, misinformation, and approved tools. If every classroom handles AI differently, students and families can become confused about what is acceptable. Privacy and safety also matter because student data has to be protected. This connects to finances and procurement because schools need to avoid tool sprawl and make sure any AI or media tools are approved, useful, affordable, and safe. Luckily, at my school, we have the help of LSG for this. Human capacity is another piece because teachers need training, examples, and time to practice. Equity matters too because all students need these skills, not only students in certain classes, grade levels, or programs. This challenge affects the whole school community, but in different ways. Students need to learn how to evaluate information, use AI responsibly, and avoid spreading false or harmful content. Teachers need clear expectations, practical examples, and support with instruction and academic integrity. Administrators need to create consistent policies and communicate them clearly. Families need to understand school expectations so they can reinforce responsible use at home. Technology staff help review tools, protect student data, and support safe implementation. A thoughtful leadership response has to go beyond buying or blocking tools. First, leaders need to create shared expectations for responsible AI and digital media use. This includes common language around when AI is allowed, when it is not allowed, how students should cite or explain AI use, and what happens when students create or spread misinformation. Second, teachers need practical professional learning. They need examples of classroom activities, sample language for assignments, age-appropriate lessons, and support identifying where students may need instruction. Third, students need direct instruction on how to question, verify, cite, and reflect on information. This should not only happen in one technology class, it should be reinforced across subjects because students encounter digital information everywhere. Fourth, families need clear communication so expectations are consistent between school and home. Finally, leaders need safeguards. This includes reviewing tools for privacy and safety, protecting student data, avoiding tool sprawl, and evaluating whether the work is actually improving student understanding. To evaluate success, leaders should look for evidence that teachers and students are becoming more confident and consistent. Students should feel more prepared to talk about AI and digital media. They should have common language for AI expectations and feel supported when designing assignments or responding to misuse. Students should be able to explain how they checked information, why they trusted a source, and what thinking was their own. They should also be able to explain appropriate and inappropriate uses of AI. Leaders should also see more consistent AI expectations across classrooms, fewer misunderstandings around academic integrity, and student work that shows questioning, citing, reflecting, and original thinking. Another way to evaluate progress would be through teacher surveys, student reflections, lesson evidence, family feedback, and examples of student work. The goal is to know whether these efforts are actually changing understanding and behavior. My biggest takeaway is that critical media literacy is no longer optional. AI makes information easier to create but harder to verify. Because of that, schools have a responsibility to teach students how to think critically, act ethically, and use information responsibly. The goal is not to keep students away from technology. The goal is to prepare them for the world that we already are living in. For technology leaders, this means the work cannot stop at access devices or tools. It has to include shared expectations, teacher support, student instruction, family communication, and a culture of responsible use. Thank you for your time.